Hello, in the last lesson we ran the Tailwind CLI utility which generated the Tailwind utility classes. I'm going to actually now get rid of that demo and apply Tailwind for real in our web development project. And we're going to see that we don't need to run that CLI. We can have Vite invoke the Tailwind generation automatically. So just before I do that, I'm just going to remove our old CSS styling from the project. I'm going to delete this link to the index.css from the index.html file. And instead, I'm going to import Tailwind into the index.css. Now, we use a slightly different syntax with CSS files for importing NPM packages. We put an @ in front of it, and then I can just put the regular Tailwind CSS. So we're importing that library there. And because we've removed the link from the HTML file, we're going to import the index.css file now in our JavaScript, our root JavaScript module. So I'll just use a import /index.css. And finally, I need to add a Vite configuration file called vite.config.js. I'll just copy that in. And what this is doing is telling Vite that before it performs any of its normal operations, whether that's Vite build or Vite running the web server, it is to call this plugin, and that plugin will generate the utility classes for us. So I now need to just update the package.json because I've imported this Tailwind Vite package here and imported the regular Tailwind CSS here. So let's just open our package.json and add those couple of imports. Got Tailwind CSS, and it knows the most recent version, and at Tailwind CSS/Vite. And while we're here, we don't really need that capitalize anymore, so I'll just take that out. That was just a demo on NPM packages. Okay, so with that, we should be good to go. I'll just open up a terminal and do npm install. And I'll do npm run dev. Now, I should warn you that we've removed all of our styling, so we're not expecting very much. The other thing is I've configured my Visual Studio Code so that when I click on localhost links, it uses the internal browser. So we can see here. So, as I warned you, it doesn't look very good just yet, but we'll apply styling using Tailwind, and this will soon be looking exactly like it did before. So let's get on with that. I'll go to the index.html file. And I'm going to remove their header and footer. We're actually going to add new ones with React Router and shadcn a little later, and it'll reduce the amount of styling we need to do now. So I'm just going to copy in styling. I've got some on the side. So first of all, body. Let me just paste this in. And we can see here we had a minimum height. This is saying that we're using a flexbox. The flex direction is a column. We're setting a background color, a text color, and font is sans serif. Next will be the main block. I'll just replace that. Now, if you remember, flex 1 meant I want the main section to occupy all of the remaining space on the screen. Again, it was a flex box because we're going to control these headers and paragraph in a column direction, and we wanted to center the items both vertically and horizontally. So the next thing is their headings. I'll do those as a pair. And here we've got a top margin of 4. Remember that was 16 pixels. We've got larger text than normal and it's bold. And then finally the paragraph. And with that we just set a top margin of 16 pixels, which was this in Tailwind it's MT4. And finally we just need to update the styling around the button. Remember we had this class center button. We need to replace that with Tailwind utility classes. So I'll just copy that into. And here we've got a top margin again, a background color, a text color. We've got padding in the X and Y direction, different quantities in both. Text space is just saying use the default text size for the body. Rounded MD was the radius on the corners. We had a border of 0. If you remember, we just had to remove that. There was a 1 pixel border. And finally, the cursor, we want it to be the hand when we hover over it. And this is all we need to implement the styling. So now let's go and have a look. We're still actually running up here, so I should be able to pop up the window again. And there we are. It's all looking much better. So with that, I will see you in the next lesson.